Alright, folks, and welcome back to the channel. We're back to discuss tomorrow's game at Tannadice's Celtic face Dundee United. We'll also discuss the injury news, both positive and negative, that's kind of come out the last week. But I'm joined by Alistair to go over everything. Alistair, first and foremost, how you doing?
I am doing alright, Josh. Can't say I'm getting used to this one game a week. I find it quite boring, but I suppose it gives the players a chance to focus and get players back with injury.
Aye. Obviously, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a minute. About obviously players getting back on the training pitch. But aye, it's obviously one game a week now. It's just kind of trying to get to the end of the season and kind of see where the Celtic team at. And obviously try and hopefully win the title. But then obviously we get into the summer and you're looking, the list of issues we've got with this, the club and the squad, and obviously it looks like there's been another issue added to the list
I
over the
do.
last kind of week. I mean, we may as well just start with the kind of big news this week regarding Kasper Schmeichel. I mean, he spoke about obviously with Nui, he had this kind of shoulder issue. Before we kind of speak about it, I'll read kind of the quotes out to what he said to obviously that CBS midweek. So he was basically on the Champions League show that they call it. Him and his dad, I think Micah Richards and that was there. So he basically said to this CBS show, I was at a specialist yesterday and basically I'm going to need 2 surgeries now to fix my shoulder, with which is a bit of a body blow. I've torn my bicep, torn the rotator cuff, dislocated the shoulder, torn the labrum. I think that's how you say it. Everything is kind of gone. To put it into terms that you can understand, it's like an outfielder doing their ACL and Achilles at the same time. So it's looking like 10 months, 10 to 12 months of rehab. So it's been a strange few days. You don't really know how to react to this because I've potentially played my last game of football. I've been a footballer since the day I was born, and that kind of thought is devastating. It's very, very hard to wrap my head around it at the moment. I was watching keepers warming up tonight. I'll just skip this because it doesn't really mean anything, but it's been emotional as much as you guys have been nice. I haven't enjoyed a single minute of it because you're looking at what could be waiting for you. Not that it's and not good in any other ways, but I've been a footballer since I can remember. To think that I might not be able to do that again, that's the tough one. I got the message yesterday that it could potentially be the end of my career because at the age of my age, by the time I could potentially be back fit, be plus 40. I grew up through generations that watching guys that played football with their hearts. I've played through countless injuries, and right now my mind is like, okay, yeah, I'm going to give it absolutely everything I can to get back. It would be one of the greatest feats of my career I could ever, if I could ever get back from injury like this, and I'm going to fight and do whatever I can. I can do the rehab. Um, so obviously that this kind of news comes out, and I mean we already knew that Kasper Schmeichel had injuries. Fans could tell you that for weeks, Alistair. But the
But
severity of it, you didn't expect to hear Kasper Schmeichel come out and say, my career could be done. He's probably played he has, let's be honest, he's played his last ever game for Celtic.
well, let's be honest, Josh. I personally think, regardless of whether Casper Schmeichel wanted to, what I think he always had it planned to finish at the World Cup, and he was going to finish anyway. So let's not call a spade a spade. That is the end of his career because what professional club is, you don't come back with an injury like that at his age, and it's very, very rare at
Uh,
39.
nah, it's even at younger, like even with all long term injury we've got to Jota, I've got real doubts that he's even going to be able to come back for injury. That he's
The
got,
only difference between is he's younger.
aye, but I mean we've knew he's had these shoulder problems forever, and that's why it raises major questions on both sides for me, the club and obviously the player himself. Casper Schmeichel was out of form, and we continued to play him. He's been out of form since last season's Scottish Cup final.
Yeah.
Where people have said he cost us a treble. Then maybe you're right in that. I don't.
Well,
I
in terms of the goal, I would agree.
Aye, but the goal, I just thought the performance that day was absolutely pathetic all round for the whole team. But since that final, he's no looked the same. Since he obviously picked that injury up, and when he played in the Nations League against Denmark, he's just
What?
no for Denmark played against Portugal. I think he picked up that injury. So I mean, he's no looked the same since. Some of the goals that he's conceded this season, you can't be conceding some of the goals. I look at the goals, even going as far back as Braga, some of the goals he conceded there. The goal at Kilmarnock he conceded, there's just been a
Second
long,
goal,
long
aye.
list of goals that he should not be conceding that he's conceded. And we have been saying for, weeks and months that we wanted Sinisal to get a run. It's easy, I guess in hindsight, it's easy to say that now because Sinisal's come in. He's looked, he's not looked incredible, but he's looked competent. He's looked that he can, at least do the basics right and do the things that Casper Schmeichel wasn't doing. And
Well, command the box for a start. I mean,
I'm not
I'm
even
not.
talking about commanding. I'm generally talking about trying to save things with your two hands.
Yeah.
I think it was that bad with Casper Schmeichel. And I questioned why. And I get it's not as easy for a player just to go, I don't want to play. But this is where he's getting the kind of selfish tag. And to an extent, I do agree. As I said, I don't think he's fully to blame, but I still think it's very selfish from a Casper Schmeichel point of view.
I think you'd be very naive noticing it's selfish, to be honest, because and at the end of the day, he's always had this. I get people want to play at World Cup, etc. But I think that's been driving him. I don't, and this is paying my part. I think it's quite poor that you don't even mention the club on the interviews. Like, I just think that's borderline disrespectful.
Aye, I know. I seen that a lot of people kind of having issue with that. I'm not maybe as fussed as other people on it, but I can understand why people are kind of getting uptight about it. I mean, it's a complete and utter kind of embarrassment all around. I mean,
Yeah, well, I do think questions need to be asked at medical level.
severe questions need to be asked of all levels of the management team at this club in terms of, and I include Martin O'Neill in that. And before anybody goes down to the comments and starts writing, I'm not blaming Martin O'Neill but he also continued to play Casper Schmeichel when he was going through a torrid time. And the only reason he stopped playing Casper Schmeichel, when he stopped playing him in Stuttgart and he stopped playing him at Ibrox, was because he was injured. Martin O'Neill was on the record of saying, Casper Schmeichel will be back he'll be back for the Dundee United game before this injury news. So he was going to be back, and he was going to. So the club gets severe, and I've always said this. I'm like, we're playing a goalkeeper that's seriously injured.
And let's be honest, see these injections.
He's taking injections to play. I mean, when we've got a perfectly fit goalkeeper on the bench,
I mean,
it's insanity, man.
it's just that it was a risk that didn't need to be taken.
No,
In
and
my-
it's.
It could
I
be
know
a
it
risk.
honestly, it's a big risk that could genuinely have, really big consequences come the summer. That Hibs game, and I think we're that close in the title race. That Hibs game could be the difference from us not winning the league.
Well, whoever wins the league draws, the two that lose it are going to look back at some shit games and
We'll
all.
look at this and we'll look at the whole Wilfred Nancy stuff. That's what we'll look back at.
Yeah.
Rangers will look back at obviously the Russell Martin and all that sort of things and whatever else. But it's a big risk from the club to take, and it's
an unnecessary risk.
it also doesn't look great in the club when the goalkeeper that we've been clamouring to come in and been fucking chomping at the bit for to come in and Sinisalo to come in comes in and performs pretty well. When he's been in there. The whole Schmeichel, it just doesn't look good from the club. It doesn't look good from Schmeichel. I'm sure that he could have communicated with the club when he got that scan. I mean, I don't
I mean,
really know why he's been allowed to go into a television program.
if he was fit, right? Why has he been allowed? I've got to be in my bonnet about guys at clubs doing TV work when they're employed by other clubs. It's just a thing that I've never. Why put yourself in that position?
It's not even that. It's not like he's going on to see if he went on to CBS and discuss the football. Fine, I've not got an issue with that. I generally haven't. It's fine, but for me, it just goes back to the lack of communication with his club. Surely the fans should have know how to went to an American TV channel that, by the way, we can't get access to in the UK.
Even Martin O'Neill said he heard it second hand. He said that in the Friday.
I'm pretty sure Casper Schmeichel not communicate. I'm pretty sure he'd get Martin O'Neill's number. I'm pretty sure he'd get Stevie Wood's number.
He should have.
Could they have no communicated him like that? Right, I've had, and the club should have said, right, no, don't discuss it on, wherever. Say it was always planned for him to go on that. Say it was planned to go on that as punditry, and I get that obviously his father's there as well, so maybe he's wanted to discuss it then. But surely, now that just confirms to me that he's no ran it past any. Because if Martin O'Neill's found out second hand, then I mean there's something though it's no adding up here. For a kind of PR standpoint.
I kind of said, surely to God, that's a breach of contract.
I don't know. I don't know the details, to be honest with you. But the whole thing is just
it smells. It smells.
It's summed up where this club is at the moment. It's summed up and I'll go back to the kind of football stuff. With Newcastle, Schmeichel had a broken shoulder.
Over a year.
We've known this. I can understand they would have known the severity of it because it's just happened. He's just went for the scan whenever or whatever. Fine, I can deal with that. But he still had it. You were playing my goalkeeper with a broken shoulder when you had a young, highly rated goalkeeper sitting on the bench who was fit.
National keeper, by the way.
I mean, come on. I mean, the whole thing, it just does not make sense. And we've said this for weeks. Everybody's been saying it for weeks. So to be honest with you, it's not really a surprise that Casper Schmeichel's went to this shoulder and says, you might be out for 12 months.
And Josh, as somebody that's had an injection on my shoulder, you can only use a cortisone injection so often because they advise you not to take injection after injection.
I know, because your muscles are still getting worked, your bones are still getting worked, so it's baffling. Honestly, it's absolutely baffling. But we're now going to see Vinyamis and ourselves the number one from now to the end of the season. Casper Schmeichel's obviously he has played his last few games at Celtic. The only way I could see Celtic renewing his contract if they were about to pay for his treatment.
I'll be honest, Josh, I don't see that. But
I don't see it either. But as I said, Celtic are probably part of the reason why he's got to this point as well. I just from both sides, it just doesn't. It looks terrible.
Yeah, and the truth is, we're guessing. I don't think we'll ever truly know.
You'll find out in dribs and drabs through interviews. You'll eventually get the story. When that'll be, who knows? But it'll be interesting because it's just something that doesn't look good in the club.
doesn't
again.
look good in the medics,
Uh,
especially.
aye, it doesn't. Fans could see it. Fans could see it's affecting it, and his performances on the park weren't great, and that was That was the reason. Let's be honest.
Well, let's
And
be honest, Josh. There was an argument even at the back end of last season. Why bring him back? I remember us saying it in a podcast. Actually, what game it was. It was after the St Mirren game. The James Forrest last minute goal game before the cup final, and we went. We've got a decision to make because why take the risk?
I'm
Because
not going to rewrite history here. I was more than happy for Celtic to take the other year on Castle Schmeichel because I think, and this is what I will mention before we move on, Castle Schmeichel done a lot of good for Celtic as well. I
yeah, it
mean,
did. It did.
and that might the bad stuff, the mistake in the cup final, that might outweigh the kind of the good things for some people, and that's your opinion. That's fine. But we don't get to the round of six or the knockout phases of the Champions League
Or
without
Europa
Casper
League.
Schmeichel.
Let's be honest.
He's also made good saves, but it's also been undone by really bad errors that he's made. So it's just kind of a mix. But as I said, to kind of wrap this bit up, it's just a bit of an absolute shit show from both sides. To be honest with you, include the club, the management, and Casper Schmeichel himself.
As
Um,
you say, it sums up the season.
it does not. It does. It sums up the amateurish nature of this season. And that's just how I can sum this season up. It's just amateur hour from Celtic, and this is just another thing to add to the list of the summer. What we need, what we need today. Maybe we
Probably
want to improve them.
a goalkeeper anyway now. Well,
Aye, so
we're not going there anyway.
but it's just adds to a long list of stuff that Celtic need to start really improving on as well because it's just it's an absolute shambles of a situation. But a bit of good news also Arsenal at the injury front. We obviously seen pictures and images yesterday at Arne Engels, Alistair Johnston, and Callum McGregor back at training. McGregor probably the only one that will maybe feature in the game tomorrow. But obviously, good to see, kind of, especially in Engels and Johnston's thing,
Because
mate. Good to see
we've
two
missed it.
players back.
But I will say, I'm kind of glad we're not rushing them back, Josh, because you know what happens when you rush players back, as we've just discussed for the last 20 minutes. But I'll be good to just for options, mate. To be honest,
Aye,
because we
definitely.
need options. Let's be honest.
Especially if like McGregor's,
Yeah.
maybe touch and go with injuries. Arne Engels would normally kind of go in there, but obviously we've not had it. A right back, Araujo, I don't know, is he still injured?
But I reckon he'll be okay after the international break.
Right, so but because realistically after an Arsenal beat, you're looking at three good, right back options.
Yeah.
And obviously
You can
Araujo.
even use Alistair Johnson as potentially a centre half option.
Aye. But then
But
you're
it's
looking at Araujo, Johnson, and Ralston.
and Donovan.
No, well, the joke was that Ralston was meant to be the third. Obviously, I was meaning Donovan, but um,
Aye.
but it's
According
obviously good.
to Clark, Ralston should be in the Scotland squad.
Don't start me that. I think that's genuinely mental. But
Um,
especially when we've got it's two friendlies as well, so it's the perfect opportunity to try something. But I'm not going to get into that. But it's obviously good and it's positive. They're coming back at the right time. Similar to Hearts, they're getting their two best players back probably at the right time for them as well. So, and
yeah.
also we're getting probably two of our better players back at the right time. So it's obviously positive. About the game tomorrow, Alistair. I mean, I just talked about Hearts there. Hearts won they kind of ground it out again. So, and then when we're recording, Rangers are winning at the moment. So it's just actually worth, to be honest with you. Celtic must win. That's how I
Well,
can sum it up.
I'll say this, Josh. I can expect. I always go in the assumption until we play them the Hearts and Rangers will win their
Keep
games.
winning around.
Because I always think that's the best way.
Aye,
And
I would say
the
so.
good, the good, the good thing is we're not relying on any favours at the minute. So it's in our hands. So we just need to keep getting to the split. But tomorrow is a must win. But let's be honest.
Every game for now and then the season's must win.
Yep.
Until like maybe Rangers and Hearts do start to drop points, and then you could maybe say right, a draw wouldn't be too bad at third part or whatever. But at the moment, if they'll keep them up, we need to do. We just need to mirror what Rangers and Hearts are doing at the moment. That's all we can do
Yeah,
at the
no
moment.
man. And what I will say is I'm more hopeful than I would have been last week. Josh kind of gave me a wee bit of hope in the performance, but as we always say in this podcast, you need to back it up.
Aye, so that should be the kind of catalyst for them to go. Do you know what? We can perform well. Motherwell, aye, to be fair to them, they've probably fed up fairly well the last kind of few weeks. But it was still Motherwell. They still played some decent stuff. Probably the red card helped us. I can understand that. Celtic's done well. They managed to, win pretty comfortable and convincingly in the end. But you need to back it up. That's what it is, and if we do grind it out 1-0, happy days. But I would like to see us try and build on performances, and against a side who I don't think are very good.
No, I mean, let's be honest. I know we lost the last time up there, but honestly, Josh, that first half up there the last time we
We
could
could
have
have been
been.
a bit 4 up,
Yeah, we should have been. We should have been.
and that might come back and bite me after we get beat or we draw. That's fine, but I don't rate Dundee United. I think Dundee's a better side than them.
Yeah, I, 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 Tannadice can be tricky, but let's not beat about the bush. They've hardly won a game recently, so and we should be going out tomorrow and trying to get our goals up to a reasonable level. And if that's disrespectful, I'm sorry, but that's what I think.
First and foremost, I win. You just need to make sure you get the win, and that's what we look at. But I look at it and I say, you know, the games only get harder from here. After these 3 games that we've got coming up against Dundee United, then Dundee next week, and then St Mirren at Celtic Park, then the games get harder.
It's, let's be honest, Josh. It's 3 bottom 6 teams. If you want to win the league, you need to win them.
You need to get 9 points out of 9.
Aye.
You know,
Let's see where you are.
I'm at the point where if we drop points in any of the 3 games, the league's over for me. Until I see otherwise from Hearts and Rangers.
Yeah. Then you're relying on mistakes
Aye.
again.
But that's what, as you said, you just go on the presumption that they're going to win every single game that we can influence, if you know what I mean.
No. And that's how I've had messages saying Hearts were lucky. I couldn't care.
Focus on ourselves,
They could run your own race.
And you've seen me at the ground and stuff, and people are focusing. I don't care.
Aye.
I think we're too focused in Hearts and Rangers dropping points. At the end of the day,
To be honest, we don't need them to. All
It's-
we need to do is keep winning.
don't get me wrong, if they drop points, it's a bonus, happy days, but we need to win our game to take advantage of that. And so that's just what we kind of have to do. I don't subscribe to this kind of, don't focus on your opposition too much. Because if you focus on your opposition too much, you can sum this up with the Celtic board. If you focus on your opposition too much, which the Celtic board have done, they fell asleep. And then you don't look at your own affairs.
Yeah, but I'm just want a win, Josh. Then we can kind of chill for 2 weeks, and then we get back to it. But no, just get in, get out, get 3 points on the board.
Pretty much. That summed it up perfectly. In terms of the team, yet again, consistency for me is key. I would just go with a Sinisal in goal, Donovan at right back, Liam Scales and Austin Trusty at centre half. Don't get me wrong, I think even Arthur might have, could have a say maybe.
I
I think
think
he's been pretty.
you could maybe see Arthur right back. I wouldn't be.
Nah, I think that'd be really a tad unfair on Donovan. I think I've been really impressed with him. I think he's a really good young player. I think he's come in, in games and he's looked pretty fine. I'm fine with Donovan starting right back. I think I've never really been,
I like,
nervous.
I do like Donovan, and I like he's got. I don't want to say he's got a dirty side, but he's got a nasty side, and I do like that. I do like
Uh,
that. I think at times we can be a bit nice.
bit soft. We're a bit quite soft.
Yeah.
But I think that goes to it. Normally good Celtic teams don't need to be hammer throws. They're technical, ability, but we know this team's maybe not get the best, technical ability. So I'd happily, see he's been a bit less soft. Midfield, Tierney at left back, by if you're wondering. Midfield, if Cal McGregor's fit, you play him.
Yeah, I think he'll play him.
It's simple as that. The other two, I would go with Negrin and Rio Hatate.
Yeah.
Never thought I would say this, but Rio Hatate does seem to be picking up some sort of resemblance of good form. So if he can continue that, the happy days. So I know he made a mistake last week, but I think
And I
overall
always say when Hatate plays, Celtic play.
but the profits Hatate. Aye, well, that's maybe summed up why Celtic haven't really been playing this season, to be honest. But he's picked up some good form, to be fair to him. So I'd put him in there. The front three, yeah, again, spoiled for choice with so much quality.
I'll be big time Yang and Maeda.
I would say so. I think Yang's undroppable at the moment. I think he's one of the only consistent outlets for getting us forward and goals pretty much. Javin Charan, I mean, he's been decent. I still want a bit more out of him, to be honest. And Maeda does look a bit. He looks, he's starting to get a bit of form, to be fair to him. So, I would go with that.
And I always think Taneki's a better sub anyway.
Aye, it's looking like that because he's not really made much of an impact when he started, to be honest.
Start the morning score a bit.
I hope he does. I like Taneki, as I said, and I hope he kind of does. I just think he's maybe missing that bit of consistency at the moment that we need, and we need players that are going to be consistent, even for 45 minutes at this point. But to finish up, I'll just ask you a score prediction for the morrow.
Right, I'll let you go first because
2-0. I think I'll be comfortable.
I'll go 3-0.
Right. No, hopefully it's comfortable, and that's the kind of main thing. The last time we played Dundee United in the Martinale at Celtic Park, it was pretty comfortable, so hopefully.
Oh no, wasn't it?
Aye, and that's probably one of the only comfortable games we've had this season, to be perfectly honest.
We were quite comfortable last week, but
no, hopefully it's a comfortable win, get the 3 points, and we just kind of try to keep some sort of momentum up. But no, I'm going to wrap it up there for today's video, and we'll be back tomorrow at some point with the usual post-match reaction, hopefully talking about a Celtic win. But until next time, we'll speak to you later, and hail.
Hail.